All right, we're going to go ahead and call the Southern Nevada Enterprise Community Board meeting to order, and we will have roll call.
Chair McCurdy.
Present.
Vice Chair Neal. Excuse Member Horsford. Thank you. Member Creer. Excuse Member Moreno. Excuse Member Steele. Excuse Member Scott. Member Scott, are you with us via teleconference?
Dante Scott, are you still on the line?
Member McNeil
Present.
and Member Garcia Anderson.
Present.
Assemblywoman Moreno. All right, Dante Scott.
Danielle Monroe Moreno has joined.
All right, so we do have a quorum, and Matt mark all other members as absent excused. We will now go into public comment. Is there anyone joining us in person who would like to come forward at this time?
Chair, the meeting was also noticed in compliance with open meeting law.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, hearing and seeing no one at this time during public comment, we'll move for, I entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes of the May 15th meeting.
Motion to approve minutes from May 15th.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any comment? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion is adopted. Minutes are approved. We'll now move to item number 5, report by Karen Schnog.
Hello, Karen Schnog for the record. The total in the Nevada Community Project Fund, Southern Nevada Community Project Fund, is $6,926.44.
All right, thank you. We'll now receive a presentation from Joanna Jacobs, Government Affairs Manager at Clark County. Thank you and welcome.
Good afternoon, Chairman McCurdy and board members. So this is Joanna Jacob. I am the Government Affairs Manager for Clark County, and here at Chairman McCurdy's request, just to give you a brief overview of some of the bills that passed in the last legislative session that have the potential to impact or help some of the residents within the SNAC area. And I have provided a handout, which I believe is going to be uploaded after the meeting. It has hyperlinks, just so you know. If you click on the link, if you access this online, it will take you directly to the bill language. I've also provided a link to the vote on each bill, so you can check. Any community residents who are listening today can check on how their legislator voted on these particular bills. So I'll run through this really quickly. Chair McCurdy, and I am going to try and navigate the system as well. So I'm not going to read from the handout, but really some of the things that we tried to highlight in this overview were things that have the potential to help small businesses, help with workforce training, opportunities for the youth in the area, things that will come with funding, not directly to the Southern Nevada Enterprise community itself, but have the impact to help the area. So the first one is Assembly Bill 77. This was from Speaker Yeager.
Has joined.
I'll just wait for that person to join. This one was Assembly Bill 77 from Speaker Yeager, modeled after something that he observed in the state of Missouri, which is where the state had put a program in place to help new and kind of brand new or emerging businesses that had not been in operation for many years, who might need some help in accessing government opportunities. And sometimes some of those barriers can be just understanding what is out there, having the resources to actually go after some of the larger government dollars that might be available to those communities. So this bill is actually going to create the Office of Entrepreneurship within the Governor's Office of Economic Development. I've kind of highlighted some of the things that the bill is supposed to track. They're going to take 2 years, set up the office. They've been funded to set up this office and to set up a website to help new businesses and businesses that have been in operation within Nevada for fewer than 5 years. And they're going to track really the number and total dollar of state contracts that go out, and then how many can be accessed by these new and emerging businesses. Not listed on this list is actually some provisions at the end of the bill, which is a goal, not a mandate, but a goal that this office is allowed to set to say, are we going to work towards a goal of maybe having 5% to start of the state dollars and funding that goes out to be allocated or accessible to these businesses. So I've listed kind of those things, and we should start to see some of this reporting. It's going to start annually in November 1st, but 2 years after the passage of the bill, and the bill is effective right now. So we'll start seeing this reporting in 2 years. It will include really how many, and tracking a key data point maybe for this board is how many businesses owned by women, minorities, or veterans that have been in operation for fewer than 5 years were able to access those state contracts. Let me see if I can. Oops, I turned it off. Oh, I see. Sorry, I'm getting used to the City of Las Vegas system. Or maybe the broadcast people can help me and turn the page for me. I'm sorry, I don't know if I can work this remote control. I'll move on to the next bill where we're trying to get this going here.
Chair, I just wanted to acknowledge that Member Steele joined us at 3:38 p.m. via teleconference.
Thank you. I don't know if I'm just.
Jeff, can you progress
to the next
the
page.
handout forward to the second page? Thank you.
Oops. As we're navigating to the page, I did hear Assemblywoman Moreno on the line, and this next bill I wanted to highlight was one that she championed through the legislative process, is Assembly Bill 310. This is really the first of its kind that we've seen in the state that is going to set aside $32 million that's going to be dedicated towards permanent supportive housing, which is really a need that we have in our Southern Nevada community overall. And this is permanent supportive housing, so it comes not only housing, but with services to help people who may need services to get back on track if they are trying to recover from any sort of setback. And the funding that is allocated is actually intended to be used for both housing, but also for the services. So this is going to be something that will be administered through the State Housing Division. And the State Housing Division is going to set up the criteria for this, but this will fund grants that people in our community can access or apply for to actually build and staff permanent supportive housing in our community. And I wanted to highlight in here that prior to awarding any grants, the Assemblywoman Moreno wrote in something about coordination with the state's interagency housing council on homelessness to housing, excuse me. That of course is something that was put into place by former Assemblyman Tyrone Thompson, which was intended to try and get service providers and all of the state agencies together to do a coordinated role really on housing in the state. So there is an opportunity for community input through that technical committee and through that agency. And that was really something that passed with, I've put the vote here, you can see almost unanimous support through the legislative process. The other thing I've highlighted, which is on page 2 of your handout, which is Assembly Bill 391. This was a bill that was sponsored by a committee, but also was presented by Assemblywoman Danielle Moreno in the legislative process. This is actually enabling language that will allow local governments statewide if they want to be able to prioritize a goal of hiring local in a particular zip code or in an area, and it's intended to help us build a pipeline into the trades, into apprenticeship programs, into really, we hear this all the time, I work for local government, I'm sure you've heard it also, that local government really, when we're funding public works projects in the state, that there's an appetite to try and keep that work local. This is enabling language that will give local governments the ability to do so if they have a large project or several projects. It's very permissive, but that's enabling language that was not there before, that prevented local governments from setting those type of preference goals. The next one, which is on the screen, is Assembly Bill 428. This was a revenue bill and an economic development bill, but it's really intended to try and create education pathways and to try and solve our teacher shortage really locally. There's three components which I've highlighted for you here. I'll just talk first about the Teacher Academy College pathway, which is bullet number 2, but that is intended for our K-12 students or for our middle school students to get educated about what it takes to be a teacher in our community, and intended to get them started early so that they can access training early, maybe get hired as a paraprofessional prior to getting licensed as a teacher, so get into the pipeline earlier and then be eligible under an agreement with the University of Nevada to get credits, dual credits while they're still in high school, or scholarship support or guaranteed placement even. This is enabling language to create that. I also highlighted in section 1, because I know that this board has tried to look at priority areas for economic development in the state. This is language here in the bill, which is asking the governor's office for workforce innovation to look at 3 priority areas for kind of earlier career pathways that we can put into middle school to prepare kids for these career pathways in the state. One of those is mandated in the bill to be education, but there is still the opportunity for 2 additional pathways. And that is why I wanted to highlight it for you here. If we could go to the next page, page 4. I see Senator Neal, welcome to you. I've highlighted your bill here. This is Senate Bill 126, really championed by Senator Neal, which is granting $950,000 each year, so a total of about $1.9 million total over the next 2 years to the College of Southern Nevada. Continued funding for the Nevada Grow program, very successful program. And this is really something that the funding is intended to continue to operate the program. As I understand, when there was a hearing on this bill, there was a lot of testimony about the businesses who have received funding from this program and how it's really helped them grow and thrive. And one of the things that is intended to be funded is counseling, training, and kind of data scrubbing was identified as a barrier. I believe Senator Neal can correct me if I'm not wrong, but one of the things that is needed by some of these businesses who are funded through the program. And in addition, funding to market the program to try and help grow awareness of this in our community. There was also additional people added to the groups that are working on this, so both the Vegas Chamber and the African Chamber of Commerce, who are working on really supporting this group. And that stakeholder group is going to be the one who's going to be in charge of kind of putting together the marketing strategy and selecting someone to partner with them on marketing the program. And if we could go to page 5. This is continued funding, SB 240, another one championed by Senator Neal, who's a true advocate for this community, I would say. This is additional funding for the Nevada New Markets Jobs Program in the state. It's been funded in the past to about $200 million per program. This year, we're going to continue to fund it at $170 million, but if you'll note here, there in the second paragraph, there is a carve out here, $30 million allocated to impact qualified equity investments. This is intended to be dedicated to smaller, low-income community businesses defined in the bill that are in operation in the state and are either more than 50% owned by minorities, women, disabled veterans, LGBTQ owners, or engaged in manufacturing. This bill also opens up the possibility to certify investments at a lower level, so starting in, I believe, July 1, 2024. So not something we'll see immediately, but I know that we will see in the next year, hopefully up and running, that we will be able to open up some of our other businesses to smaller capital investment. And then my final page, I did want to highlight Senate Bill 450. This is another one championed by Senator Neal that is really going to give some very long needed relief to the residents of Windsor Park in North Las Vegas, funding that is going to allow them to relocate and also is really allocated for restitution for some of those residents. A long time coming. I definitely don't want to, I know it's Senator Neal's baby, but something that was very, also received a lot of support in the legislative session. And I've marked here the funding that's been set aside. You see funding from the state. You see from the ARPA funding that came to the state. You see funding that was approved from the state general fund, and also funding that is going to be contributed by the city of North Las Vegas towards this total fund that is going to assist these residents. So that is the end of my report. And like I said, I think that this will be uploaded on the website and can be accessed by the community after the meeting. So thank you.
Thank you for the presentation and also your work in the legislature. I know you were tracking down a lot, and we were able to keep up with everything that was happening due to your expertise. Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from members of the board? All right, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm good. I just want to say thank you.
Okay. We're going to have a discussion regarding and possible action regarding the US EDA Distress Area Recompete Grant. Karen?
Actually, I believe Karen Schnag, for the record, Member Steele is on the line, and he was going to engage that discussion.
Member Steele.
Oh, please be on the line.
Hello, Commission. Okay.
Yeah, I think we got you.
I wanted to discuss the EDA's recent Recompete pilot program. It's the full name is the Distressed Area Recompete Pilot Program. It's a program where the EDA will invest up to $200 million in what's called persistently distressed communities to create and connect people to good jobs. So it's a part workforce program, part project implementation program. It's broken up into three different potential application categories. The first is the strategy development grant, which each applicant can apply up to $750,000, but the range that the EDA is suggesting is between $250,000 and $500,000, with I believe 20 plus recompete plans to be approved. Actually, excuse me, a total of $12 million to be awarded across different organizations. Their second portion of the program is what's called the recompete plan approval, and this is for organizations to submit a plan for future consideration or in phase 2 of the recompete pilot program. You have the opportunity to apply for both the strategy development grant as well as the recompete plan, and that's what I would recommend our board consider. To apply for both of those gives us the opportunity to not only obtain funding, which the board has not had for a while, to have to hire staff to implement some of the projects that have come across our desk, and certainly within our our purview, but it also puts us on a plan for future consideration for the EDA. I believe the Recompete plan in phase 2 allows for investments up to, or on average, between $20 and $50 million per region. So my recommendation would be to apply for both program structures under phase 1. That's the strategy development grant between $250,000 and $500,000, and to also put together a Recompete plan that puts us on the path for potential appropriation of $20 to $50 million for our region. As I mentioned before, this is both a project plan as well as a workforce development. The strategy development grants are to fund our funding to support a region's ability to further develop a plan. So we can look at different opportunities within the SNCC region and put together an assessment of ideas or programs or future investment. And the second part of the plan is to put together, or part of the program is to put together a plan to reduce the region's what's called the prime age employment gap. And this is something that we don't necessarily have as a plan, but through this application process, we would be able to put together, put forth a plan to address the gaps in employment within our area by supporting workforce development programs. I think there are a number of entities in general that we could partner with. Some of the community organizations that are active within our region, workforce development organizations that are active within our region, as well as the three governing bodies that cover the SNCC region, whether it's the City of Las Vegas, City of North Las Vegas, or Clark County. So I just wanted to open this up, at least introduce this to the board and open it up for discussion. I think this EDA program is built for regions like SNCC, or for organizations like SNCC that are building the capacity to support areas that we govern, and the distress component and the workforce development component, in combination with the project implementation plan, is I think it's when I read it, it felt like our board, our community that we represent. It was written just for us.
Thank you, Member. So I think this is, obviously really good timing for us as a board, and, with all of the pieces that we have in play in terms of our membership on the board, I think strategically puts us in a good position to, go after this and, quite frankly, be successful in potentially receiving an award. So I would just ask if there are comments before we give direction.
Thank you, Chair. Just to piggyback on what Chairman McCurdy said, I do think we're perfectly poised. I think the idea would be to create a little small working group sooner than later. Like July is the proposed month up until July 30th. I'm just saying, because there's a lot of school starts and legislative travel starts. There's just a lot of things that are getting ready to kick off in August, specifically for the legislature. But I think that majority of the things that we need to align already exist. We just have to align it with the collaborative partnership as stated in the NOFA about how they want to see it layered. And I think we're good to go, because I think we've already attempted or have programmatic structures in place.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, we're gonna be coming right to you. We have one here in person, and we're coming to Assemblywoman Moreno.
Okay. Yeah, I was just
Thank
going to
you.
say, I had a chance to meet with Karen and get a briefing on this, and I'm just really excited. I think there are lots of opportunities to bring about change within the SNCC district. And I really hope that we can, move forward as a board. I think we can work together. I think that's the key, collaboration. I just, over with different jurisdictions, but I think with other organizations, which there are many out there. So, I'm just excited. Thank you, Karen, for working so hard and bringing this to our attention, and everyone else.
All right. So, Karen, if you would help to convene a working group. I know that Shani over at the county has already been in touch with you. I forwarded this over to her over the weekend, and she was, happy to let me know that there was already a conversation that's been initiated. So, yeah, and let us know how we can be helpful with our respective roles. Assemblywoman Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just going to say that I agree with all the comments that have been made on this, and I was just wondering what are the next steps to move us in the direction to get this going.
Karen Schnog for the record. I agree with Senator Neal and those that have already commented that we'll bring about immediate collaborative meeting of the groups that should be involved, including the jurisdictions and workforce programs and Nevada partners and many of those who are already working in the area, and then create the plan for how we would review all the current plans that are already in place and activities that are already in place, and then create this strategy that we would then submit for the grant. So, already on it, and please look for an email from me, anybody who's listening, within the next, within this week to start setting those meetings up.
All right, thank you. We'll now move on to item number 8. That was, that was for discussion only, so we didn't have to make a, formal motion or anything, more so guidance. Are there any other comments for other items that should be brought forward in future meetings? And if you don't have anything right now, feel free to send an email. For the sake of brevity. No?
Okay.
Vice Chair Neal.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sorry, but I was just thinking that maybe since one homelessness bill did get out, the $100 million one, I believe it's in the 500s, but to try to get an idea on exactly how that's going to be implemented, because I believe that it was looking for a master plan, and there was also supposed to be an additional $100 million that came from the resorts on top of that. So it was supposed to be a $200 million investment into homelessness. I think that is one of the items, close up, that we need to make sure is going to impact our respective jurisdictions. Because SB 400, which would have helped City of Las Vegas to finish building out the corridor, was vetoed. So that is the only bucket of homelessness dollars that's out there.
City Attorney Brian Scott for the record. Senator, what would you like that to come to a future meeting? Would you like to have some status on that, or who would you like to appear to give you information with regard to that?
Why don't we get the governor's office to give a status on that?
Who was that?
His bill.
Which one?
Oh, all right. Anyone from the governor's office.
Okay. Well, we can ask them. I don't know if they would appear.
I'm just saying, it ended up being their particular bill, and I think the implementation, I'm not clear on how the implementation is going to work because of all of the strange activity that happened towards the end, but I think we at least need to get a status on that and understand what is the implementation, what's going to be the flow, when will the $100 million drop in that is going to be the layered dollars on top, because we put in our part as a state. It's $100 million from general fund that's in there.
And City Attorney Brian Scott for the record again. We're changing management staff soon, so we may need to delay that just a bit until the new management staff is put into place. Dr. Hibbler is leaving, but Kathy Thomas is still going to be here, and our city manager is leaving, but they have named his replacement. So we'll try to invite the governor's office, and then perhaps we can wait until the new management staff is in place and we can get the status from them as well.
That's fine. You're retiring too, right? What's your day?
I am August 10th. August 10th.
Okay. All right.
Thanks.
Yeah, I heard there's some interest.
Nothing's happening at the city right now. Everything's kosher, it's fine. All right, I think that was it. No other comments. We'll now move on to the second part of our citizen participation. If anyone would like to come forward during this time period, speak about whatever you would like, either on the agenda or not, please come forward at this time. We will have your comments limited to 2 minutes. Thank you and welcome.
Hello, my name is Tashika Lawson. Hopefully I can get it done in 2 minutes. Just wanted to bring a couple of things that we would like to address. We are currently reading through the Nevada Revised Statute number 279, which has to do with the redevelopment area. The SNCC area happens to overlap this redevelopment area, and we're currently trying to find out about the revolving fund that was referenced in this particular fund. We see that one of the grantees that was issued was Nevada Business Opportunity Fund. We're trying to find out how much money is currently left to loan out to businesses. We also would like to know about grants that are currently available across the jurisdictions. That's with the city, the county, and the state, to be able to, I know we have a securities grant that was available through the city of Las Vegas, but it was closed. We currently don't see those notifications going out to our small businesses in this area. The African American Museum, we currently have some engagement happening, but we're not seeing those updates coming through the SNCC board. We did let them know that we would like to see them do a presentation here so that more of our community can see that and visit it if possible. And that we currently have a state board that of museums that are also not receiving those updates. That's very important for us to be able to have that on record for SNCC, because this is the body that's supposed to be overseeing some of those things. Regarding food insecurity, we currently have a failing grocery store that should actually have been closed down quite a while ago, and we're trying to find out why none of the actual entities that are governing our community are addressing that issue. And then finally, we wanted to know if there's going to be an update to the community on the fact that Walmart is going to be closing, which is our closest food grocery store for our community. I've got more, but I'll have to borrow a minute next time.
If you can submit your items that you requested information on, that would be great, so that we can have team look into it. Thank you. Is there anyone else looking to come forward at this time? Hearing seeing no one else, this meeting is adjourned.